Hi, Dementia Caregivers. Kristen Galloway here, occupational therapist and certified dementia care specialist. Welcome back to Dementia Care Hub TV. And today we're going to talk about sundowning. If you've never heard that term, you may be familiar with the behaviors. So a lot of times individuals with dementia tend to have increased kind of negative or uncooperative behaviors in the late afternoon or early evening. And this is termed sundowning. So an increase in behaviors that are not cooperative. They may seem agitated or restless or frustrated. And so these things tend to happen late in the day, and that's why it's called sundowning. There are many different causes for this, and it can be different for different people. But a lot of times the case can be just the person is fatigued from kind of the activities of the day. It can be related to caregiver fatigue. So as caregivers, when we get tired and we've been working hard with this person all day, we can start to get a little bit shorter with our temper, or a little bit less patient, or just kind of fatigued. And we, as I've mentioned in previous videos, individuals with dementia are very much in tune to the kind of social and emotional cues from their caregivers. And so they will tend to read this and then kind of internalize that and reflect it back. So if you are frustrated or tired, that can be one of the things, as a caregiver, that can be one of the things that can kind of contribute to these behaviors on the part of the person with dementia. It can also be a lack of stimulation or activity throughout the day. Perhaps they haven't had kind of enough going on. Maybe they've been sitting and just watching TV all day. It can be overstimulation. It can be too much activity, and they're actually fatigued and kind of worn out cognitively and or physically from the goings on of the day. And then one other thing that has been mentioned in the literature is shadows. And so poor lighting, and as we get shadows, longer shadows later in the day as the sun lowers, those shadows can kind of interfere with the person's visual perception, and it can be maybe a little scary, a little unsettling, a little creepy, kind of seem dark and shadowy to that person. So good lighting is really important. So these are some of the things that can contribute. I'm sure there are probably others. But the bottom line is, what do we do, right? How do we handle a situation like this? And if you see a pattern of this developing day in and day out, where the individual with dementia is, exhibiting these kind of negative behaviors late in the day, what can you do to kind of prevent that from being a recurring daily thing? Because of course that makes caregiving that much more difficult. And you're trying to prepare dinner and get your family settled if you have other family members coming in. There can be a lot to do in the evening. So what to do? One of the biggest things that I see when I go into a home and work with individuals with dementia and their caregivers is, a lot of times there is a tremendous amount of environmental stimulus going on around the person. So the caregiver or the family members may be making dinner, so there's kind of noise and commotion going on in the kitchen. The TV might be on, or radio music in the background. Maybe kids are home. There's a lot of coming and going. It can be any number of things, but the one thing that I recommend first and foremost is to reduce that environmental stimuli that are going on around that person. Is it possible to, turn off the TV or not have any background noise? Maybe have them a little quiet place for them to sit in a recliner, or, maybe join you in the kitchen, but kind of try to keep the commotion down in the kitchen so there's not conversation and, kind of a lot of things going on. Is it possible to have good lighting, right? So that we prevent the shadow possibility from contributing to the confusion and the sundowning behaviors. Sometimes it's nice to redirect, right? So if the person's starting to get agitated, you see that they're starting to get a little bit upset, maybe provide a small snack, right, that they can have before dinner. Not something that's going to ruin their dinner, but something that will kind of divert their attention from how they're feeling and the other things that are going on. So a little snack or a fun activity that they might be able to do either on their own, or maybe while dinner is cooking, you could sit down with them for a few minutes and do some kind of fun activity that's appropriate for their cognitive abilities. So some folks are able to do puzzles, very simple puzzles still, perhaps a little coloring, which is kind of soothing to some people. There are lots of You pull out a photo album and just reminisce for a few minutes. So there are lots of different activities, and of course it needs to be tailored to that individual and what their interests are. But just kind of redirecting and calming and sitting with them and settling them into an activity that kind of redirects their attention for 10 or 15 minutes might help to curb some of these behaviors. And finally, I would advise caregivers too to check your own fatigue and your own frustration at the end of the day. You've had a long day of caregiving, or perhaps you've started the day caregiving, then had to go to work all day and then come back and do some more caregiving. And if you're tired and or frustrated, or you had a situation that upset you during the day, really try to kind of look inward and check your emotions. If you need to take, a few minutes for yourself, go do some nice deep breathing, kind of reset your focus and your intention so that you're able to provide care without kind of that edge of the emotions that you might have. I know that's a really big ask, but it certainly will go a long way because, as I said before, individuals with dementia read our emotions, they read our facial expressions, they read our body language very, very well. And so if you are having tension in your voice or in your face, when you're communicating with them, they're going to see that and pick up on that and internalize that. They feel your stress, so to speak. So, checking your own feelings and giving yourself a couple of minutes of self-care, whether that's just, close your eyes and lay down, listen to your favorite song for 2 or 3 minutes, or take some deep breaths and kind of try to let go of some of that tension. It might really go a long way to helping curb their behaviors and also making you feel a little bit better. Because as always, as caregivers, we can't pour from an empty cup. So we need to fill our cup before we try to help others. So anyhow, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions about sundowning, drop me a comment below. I would love it if you would like and subscribe to the channel. We would love to have you as a regular follower and let you know when new videos are posted. And if you have any particular questions or challenges that you're having with your individual with dementia that you're caring for, feel free to drop a comment below and I'll try to make a video to cover that topic. Thanks so much for tuning in. Have a wonderful day.